Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all
here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Meat Cat Bodies by Jeremy Jones.
Good afternoon. It is Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. We got Davey. Good afternoon, JB. One Pride. Hope you have a great day. And Mike Marsh comes in. The Packer backer. Is it agreed? Tua should probably retire and follow in the footsteps of Lott. If he did, he gets a nice severance package. He gets all that bonus and guaranteed money prorated. He'll get the $95 million before taxes. I agree. We got Ricky Scott saying good afternoon, sir, and Matt Henry saying morning, JB. Good afternoon to everybody. Going through all those NFL factoids and statoids and everything else that's out there, here's a curious one. Only 4 times in NFL history in the Super Bowl era has a team had a playoff rematch in back-to-back weeks to start the season. All 4 of those teams reached the Super Bowl that year. 3 of them won it. You Lions fans deserve where your team is at currently. Thank you, Mitch Sledge. As do you Texans fans deserve where they're at with the Texans. That being said, that means Super Bowl season's loading. Whether we win it or not, that's another story. I'm not going that far. I just think we're getting there. The only thing that might derail us is the Lions themselves because of something happening there. Sir Richard says, nice stat. I'm not bold enough to say we're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm bold enough to say we're getting there this year. And I've said it repeatedly this offseason. I think Super Bowl is the expectation and the goal overall. Do they want that Lombardi trophy? 1,000%, probably 10,000%. Do us fans want it? 1,000,000%. It's whether or not we get it when we get there. That's where I'm at. So, Reader is playing. It's going to be Blob Squatch watch in the middle of the field with Aleem and Reader next to each other. That's 670 pounds of fun coming at the center, left, and right guard. which I think in turn frees up Hutch and Davenport more. Brent DeWitt, howdy Lions faithful. I'm starting to get Swift vibes from Davenport. One good game, then out the next. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not saying gonna say that, Mike Marsh. We made it to the NFC Championship game as many times as the Bungles made it prior. Do us Lions fans deserve it? Absolutely. Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, we got to learn how to win as a fan base. We kind of went a lot of there's a lot of them that went way overboard. Um, Thank you, Mitch Sledge. Long time no see. Yoli Cruz enters the chat. That's what I'm thinking. Somewhere between 45 and 75% of the snaps, we're going to be keeping people fresh. I don't think they're going to have them out there 100% of the game. But we saw that Levi Onwuzurike, if he's in there in a limited fashion, he's able to do more because I just think he tires quicker because he hasn't had a lot of games under his belt. And I think having Reader back is going to help him stay fresher too because he doesn't have to be on the field that much of the time. Um, Pascal didn't do much for me last week. I don't know about you guys, but I was underwhelmed when he was on the field. Um, can't say enough about Hutchinson. I mean, Davenport was only on the field 25% of the time. I expect that to continue to keep him healthy and fresh. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. The only thing that concerns me is the high ankle sprain of Benet Sewell because he has yet to practice this week. And I'm hoping they're holding him out because they said, man, if he just stays off it, he'll be fine for the game. But I don't want it to turn into something more serious. If there's a chance of re-injury over 10%, I have the feeling we're going to have a backup right tackle in, guys, and that's the only thing that scares me because they will put Kalijah Cansey on that guy with Vita Vea in the middle, who can take up two or three old linemen by himself. If Kalijah Cansey's on that side versus our backups, it's going to be a problem. That's just my opinion, and the game will be closer than any of us want. That that's where I'm at with it. But it's funny it was brought up on another show, and I'm going to bring it up now. Jared Goff let something leak. We're going to see Gibbs and Monty on the field at the same time, and I think it's going to be a three wide receiver set. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do the I set because when Vaki was in at fullback, he actually did a good job of walling off the linebacker that got past because the tackle was tied up with the defensive end, and he walled him off. So you might see that type of set, a three wide receiver I set with a fullback and a running back. And if Sewell's not a go, we're going to see more of Brock Wright in because he's the better blocker for run and pass. And he might be there on the right side to assist with the pass blocking. Sometimes both tight ends on one side, sometimes on opposite sides. But if Sewell is out, and I'm not saying he is, knock on wood, I hope he isn't. I hope he's 100% and ready to go. Rotational parts are such an underrated part of football. 100%. But it can't be understated. Um, Sir Richard, what drives me nuts is the one playoff season in line that went across the league. There's just some teams that had such low ticket prices that didn't go up that much. Last year, we weren't the cheapest ticket prices. That's not true. It took a 45% hike across the league. That being said, the Panthers' most expensive ticket is still less than the most expensive second tier ticket at the Lions. And that's because that's how cheap they were last year. At one point, tickets for the nosebleeds were 48 cents in Carolina. So you got to put it in perspective. Last year, it cost $400 for me to sit. It went up by $50 in the third level. So that's where we're at, Sir Richard. It is what it is. So we were like in the middle of the pack. I think we were close to the 20s in cost effective wise, price wise last year. And we're not exactly 32nd. We're tied with about three other teams at that point. Right. They sold tickets for 48 cents last year. Now it's $35. Do the math. That's a 700% increase. That's what I'm telling you, Richard. Last year they sold tickets for 48 cents a piece in the third balcony. Last year or 2 years ago I sat, it was $202 a seat plus fees to be at the Seattle versus Detroit game in week 2. It's Listen to what I'm saying, Richard. It was $202 in 2022. It's 250 for the same exact seat right now. This week in prime time. If it was available, I could get the same exact seats for $250. That's a $48 increase. It's not a cash grab. It's not as big of a percentage. You guys are making a mountain out of a molehill. It didn't double for me. I know that 2 tickets, if I bought them right when they were released, I could have had them in my hands for $500 for the exact same 2 seats I sat in the third balcony. It was an increase of $48 there. It goes up by that percentage all the way down. So it looks like things are more, but it's not. It didn't cost me $1,000 then. It cost me about, let's see. I paid 40 for parking, 202 a ticket. So I spent about $600 that day. So now you increase that by $100 for the 2 tickets, and we still have the cheapest concessions in the league. So 2 tickets, I would go for about 7 to 750. It's still less than 1,000 for 2 tickets in the nosebleeds. That's what I'm getting at. And they didn't get a choice. That was put out by the NFL that everybody had to raise their tickets that much at a minimum. And there are teams that didn't make the playoffs, and theirs are cheaper. That's the price you pay of being a playoff team. I wish we had Carolina on our schedule this year. I would probably go to that game because it would be cheaper with the travel fee to get there. I'm not going to trash when it was mandated by the NFL this offseason. They put out a thing to all teams and their ticket holders and season ticket holders that they were raising prices by 45% at minimum across the league. What's my hot take on that game? It's going to be a long day if Penei Sewell can't play. It's going to be a long game, and it's going to be a lot closer than any of us are comfortable with. I understand, Andrew. And fans forget for 3 seasons we didn't raise our prices. You can say it's a total cash grab, but Sheila refused to raise prices in 2023 because we didn't make the playoffs. So that percentage gets carried over from those 2 previous seasons. We didn't raise our prices for 3 seasons. I said, if he can't play, he has a high ankle sprain. He has not practiced all week. He has not practiced all week. Panay Sewell is dealing with a high ankle sprain, grade 1. They're keeping him out of practice to try and see if it heals up enough that he can go without a chance of re-injury on Sunday. And he's a game time decision, so we won't know till 11 a.m. The way Detroit has been playing, you might be able to pay me to go to a game. Ha ha ha. You know what? You couldn't pay me to go to a Packers game unless the Lions are playing against them. So there's that. And the way the Packers played last week, I'd charge you double. So I'm not saying he's out. I'm saying there's a chance he's out. And those high ankle sprains can last multiple weeks. It's a grade 1 though. It's the minor. It's the least minor of all the ankle sprains. That's why he might be able to play, Mitch Sledge. If it was a grade 2 or grade 3, he'd have been listed as out already. Hey, don't disparage Lambeau Field. Laugh at my fucking. Oh, I'm not. I'm disparaging the fact that in order for me to even go watch the Lions play the Packers, if they play like they did week 1, you'd have to pay me double to get there. Come on, that's funny, Ken. I say it's less than a 20% shot. I say it's closer to like 10 to 15%. Um, just because a sprain is a precursor to a tear if you come back too soon, and it will get torn because then it becomes a focal point of tackling. I think it would be a mistake of epic proportions for LaFleur to make that decision, like on a mentally challenged level, to risk the entire year for one game. Well, shit. Here, no, Mike Marsh saying the way the line. It was more directed because of what Mike Marsh said. Ken, he said that the Lions are playing good enough you could almost pay him to go to a game. So I was giving shit back. Oh, he did return to practice today. Thank God, because that means it's pretty much. Ah, see how you are. I'm glad Sewell returned to practice today because that was my biggest thing. Uh, I don't know if they will or not. Um, you say it was an inability. I just think, um, as much as I hate to say it, it was rust. As bad as everyone thinks it was. I think it was more rust than inability. LaFleur said he's waiting on a second report to see if it's good enough to let Jordan Love play. The second report hasn't been released, which tells me more than likely, because it's Friday, he can't, or we'd already heard it. Yeah, I know. Hollywood Brown is out for the season. Antoine Winfield is out for the Bucks. We beat them both times Antoine Winfield played. Plus, they had Carlton Davis in coverage last year, who actually did an admirable job against our guys, and we beat them. And he's now on our team. You know what we didn't have last year was a dominant interior old lineman presence other than Aleem. It was Isaiah Buggs playing that game, who batted the ball in the air. And Will Harris got his first pick of his entire career against Baker Mayfield last year. Right. Hollywood Brown's out for the season. There's certain players I stay away from in fantasy. They have 4 good games a year, and everybody thinks they're great because those 4 games are so great, and they're just average to below average all year long. Yo, Jeremy, sunny 4 and sunny at the lake. It's sunny, let's see, 78 and sunny here in Flint. That's great, Joseph Ostom. Thanks for the weather report. Flint, where the water's shit. That's all I got to say, because I'm not doing the ad yet. DJ Reader and Levi are way better than Bugs and Benito Jones. I think Broderick Martin's better than Bugs and Benito Jones at this point. But we won't see him till probably week 5 at the earliest. My favorite line. Oh, but I thought that was amazing. And Houston didn't dress all week. And I don't think they're holding him out for trade bait. I think they're holding him out because that leg isn't right, and his get off isn't right, and everything else. I mean, hell, we went over the double team snaps last year for Broderick Martin. Harris and the Aquara's gone as a plus. Mike Marsh, Fred Peterson in the chat. Good afternoon. It's a great day to be a Lion, one pride. So the best news is Panay Sewell practiced today. So with him returning to practice, he's a go on Sunday. So all bets are off on it being a close game anymore. If it was Kalijah Cansey versus our backups, I was scared. We haven't, because even though we only won 1 game without Frank Ragnow last year, we've only missed Panay Sewell in 2 games his entire career. And guess what? We didn't win those games. It was not pretty. If Panay Sewell had to be out, I was questioning my decision to take the Lions over the Bucks this week. They said he was returning to limited practice and he'll be a game time decision. He wasn't put on the IR. And I was just saying, if Sewell's out, they'd let Cansey play because of it. You see what I'm getting at there, Brent? I didn't see it when I was at camp, and I've been adamant that I think we made a mistake keeping Houston over Betts or Uku on the active roster. We could have put him on the pup list because if they'd have never let him take a snap in the preseason because he had a leg injury registered with the league every day, they could have put him on the pup to protect him to let him get fully healthy and get to where he had his bend. I think that repaired ankle isn't letting him do what he used to do. And it might be a mental block more than anything because they say he's fully healthy. He's cleared to play, but he just isn't doing the same things. Yeah, he gained 20 pounds. He went from 6'1" and 240 to 6'1" and 260. So he's got a little more girth around the waist, which doesn't allow him to get as low, too. We saw that with Broderick. Did you see the difference in how low he was getting this preseason compared to his rookie year? The weight loss of the fat that was holding him back from being able to bend makes a huge difference in the shape of somebody and how they look at the line. I just wish Houston could have developed into a Sam linebacker because I think he's better suited size wise to that position than defensive end. That's just me. Um, I don't know. They got a little better coverage corners there, so the underneath stuff might be gone for JMO. Um, their linebackers are great tacklers, great run stuffers, and pass rushers, and they're okay in coverage. So I expect them to do more of the same thing like the Rams did. Zone defense in the middle, let the outside corners play man and live and die on whether or not JMO breaks containment. And with Antoine Winfield gone, who was their best coverage safety for over the middle, it's going to hurt them a lot. Broski Bear, welcome to the chat. How about the game Williams had? It was amazing. 8 targets, 5 catches, 122 yards, 1 rush for 13 yards, a touchdown. Um, he kind of saved the game in the regular game during regulation time. I say over on yards for JMO, over on catches for St. Brown, um, and first touchdown for Gibbs. It would be a nice parlay bet on a prop bet. Yes, Tampa already has one of their starting corners on the IR till week 8. It was a big loss they had in the preseason during practice. So you got one starter that isn't playing because he's been on the IR. You add Anton Winfield to the IR, Junior on the IR, and all those guys played against us last year. Oh, you mean Caleb? Oof, oof. Goff and JMO have that connection already. I told everybody it was coming from what I saw at camp. I said, you guys, they're not ready for it. And I don't think a lot of Lions fans were mentally ready for that to happen as good as it did week one. They weren't listening to what I was saying. And there's a lot of rival fan bases that didn't want to hear it either. And I said, I saw something different this year. I haven't seen this before, and I see it now. And I think there's a chemistry built that won't be broke. And they talk big about each other all the time. And JMO just seems so much more mature than he was last year. That's the biggest thing I can take from it. His maturity level from his rookie season to this season is off the chart. Am I saying he's still going to get right? At least he didn't turn the ball over. I get it because I said right now, Broski, I'm going to tell you right now, if Will Levis didn't try to throw a pass away, right, take away Amon-Ra and Laporta, Jama eats, pick your poison. Because I don't think there's a one-on-one cover guy that can keep up with JMO in the league, and I don't even think Jalen Johnson can do it. And I think he's one of the best in the league. Jair Alexander is overrated. We saw that AJ Brown made him eat his dust as lunch and leave his jock strap behind him. And I didn't say Carlton Davis would be the best corner in this division at any time. I just said he'll be better than Cam Sutton. That remains to be seen after last week. Because it looked like he impersonated him to me. He covered Cooper Kupp all day. I understand. I'm talking about the pick six to Stevenson the last time you scored. If he doesn't throw that ball and takes the sack and they punt the ball away, it's a different game. Now, do you see what I'm talking about, Broski Bear? And I can't believe Tua did the best impression of Will Levis I've ever seen because it was the exact same thing. Getting hit for a sack, tossed it to the sideline, the defender catches it, runs it in for a touchdown to make it 31-10. Oh, JMO is a man on a mission and just getting warmed up. 100%. I get it. And Goff is just figuring out how to get the ball to him to where it doesn't look as awkward. Say what you want. If you don't have the chemistry, you can't get the ball to him good. I think Davis is actually better than Sutton. I understand what you're saying, Broski Bear, but if they punt that ball away, well, it did give the game away. I think it gave the game away because they hadn't let your offense do shit. Your scoring came off of defense and special teams prior to that. And it was a defensive touchdown that took the lead. That's what I'm trying to say. Thoughts on how some players are deciding to wear the additional helmet padding in games? I think they're protecting their dome, the most important part of your body, your brain. We all saw what happened to Tua. He lowered his head and tried to bowl over small Damar Hamlin, and it didn't go his way. And I personally think he got. I get what he's saying. You say that, but you don't know what would have happened if they punted the ball away, is my point, Broski Bear. Jesus. Don't go homer on me. I'm not trying to be a homer and pick apart the Bears game either. I'm giving a realistic take there. They'd have been better off punting the ball away than with Levis taking the sack. instead of trying to pass it while falling to the ground. That was my point because they had the lead. Doesn't matter if it's a point or if it's 20 points. If you have the lead, take the sack. That's smart football, is what I'm telling you. Levis didn't play smart football like that. Oh my God, I panicked. Even if it wasn't picked, it was a loss of down penalty, 15 yards against them, and they're punting anyways. I'm saying the smart football play is take the sack and punt. Don't you even see that that's the smart football play? Yes, punting is better than a pick six. Make them earn points, not give them away. Jesus Christ, if you're going to be that delusional and not saying that and just saying, oh, we'd have won it anyways, you don't know you'd have won it if they punted the ball. That's my point. And you can't say Caleb was going to drive you down the field because he didn't do it all goddamn game. I know. I called it out too. Tua did the same thing, panicked while being sacked, tried to toss the ball away. But the good thing is he wasn't so far back it wasn't past the line of scrimmage. So if it didn't get picked and it went out of bounds, it would have been not a penalty. But at the same time, it was the same thing. Heads up play. The defender saw what was happening, ran up and took it to the house. That's smart football. On the defensive side, it was stupid football by both quarterbacks. I understand. I'm just saying the smart football play is punt, take the sack and punt the ball. I'm just saying smart play. I would have rather rolled the dice and tried to stop you than give you the game. I mean, I wasn't even trying to say they would have won. 14 of 29, 94 yards, 29 and a half yards in sacks. Net passing yards is 65 and 15 rushing. That's 80 positive yards total. That's what Caleb Williams had. And I wasn't even trying to trash Caleb, but it was an awful game. Offensively, for the Bears, that was an awful game. Um, Losing Roma Dunze possibly for a minute with the grade 1 MCL sprain. Um, Keenan Allen went out for a while in that game. And, and I said it going into the season, carrying the extra weight is going to hurt him this year. And that's what it looked like to me because it was a non contact play that he came up limping at the end of. I'm here to talk Lions. I don't want to pick apart everything and anything out there. It's a damn shame what happened to Tua, and the NFL and the Dolphins may force him to retire because I don't think he's smart enough to retire. Yes, Jack Fox flipping the field. He doesn't get enough. We punted the ball 6 times. We forced or 4 times. We forced them to punt 3 times last week. But him flipping the field, that actually helped the Lions defense out a lot because we kind of did the bend don't break thing because everybody wasn't game ready. You could see it. Um, there was times when the whole defense looked slow and lethargic. Just like I didn't see that same Christmas I saw at camp. And that's on both sides of the ball. And I think as they get in better game shape, that's going to increase in each week. We all have to remember one thing. The Bucks played the Commanders in their house. The Commanders didn't have Josh Sweat or Montez Sweat. They've lost key pieces here and there throughout that defense. And I think that had a lot to do with why they looked anemic because the Bucks only had one good offensive lineman according to their PFF stats, and that was Tristan Wirfs. The rest of them were in the 50s. So, and one thing we can all agree on is PFF kind of gets it right when they grade the play of offensive linemen versus anything else. They're actually pretty damn good at it. Sometimes their QB stuff I don't agree with. Sometimes their wide receiver stuff or their defensive back stuff. Like when they did the all 32 and they put Kyle Hamilton at 5 and Kirby Joseph doesn't make the list, yet he had 2 more tackles, the exact same amount of passes defended, the exact same amount of interceptions, and the exact same amount of sacks. One. I didn't get that. How do you put him at 4 overall and Kirby Joseph doesn't even make the top 32? Just yes, I think at some point they're going to force that, especially the mobile QBs. Not so much the ones that sit in the pocket. Oh yes, Joseph Awesome, no, 100%. So I think the defensive game plan is to have everything clogged up the middle, force the running backs to go outside, which is where Anzalone and Campbell do well is on the run plays outside in tackling. And Terrion Arnold did an admirable job helping out Anzalone with the tackling. Sutton does a decent job tackling. Where we missed at was in the middle of the field, and I just didn't get it. But that's because we didn't have the double whammy of Reader and Aleem like we're going to have this week. And I think that's the difference in the game. I think Houston's going to be not dressed again this week. I think we're going to call up a wide receiver. I still don't know which one. Thank you, Trace. Busy day today, listening while running errands. Go Lions, FTP, 100%. Yes, it's always FTP here. It's always F to B and SF. And if you guys don't know what SF is, you will in a minute. um, I don't think we're going to have as bad of a game as the Commanders' defense. Emmanuel Forbes doesn't look like he's even on Terry and Arnold's level in his second year. He was getting torched all day. Um, their safeties couldn't do anything to help the corners in the over the top 2-man zone that they run, which that's the 2-man zone. I think is what Aaron Glenn wants to do here with our defense is have the 2 safeties in zone playing over the middle, and with if he's probably not playing either. So you're probably going to see more of Brendan Joseph maybe coming up in the box to be a blitz safety. He's quick enough to do it. Yes, Broski is here, Trace. He's being fine. I think our D line gets 3 sacks this week on Baker. The Bungles. Joe Burrow was playing with a wrist injury that he just had get good enough and be cleared to play. He wanted to play. T. Higgins was out. He's out again this week. Um, they're missing Joe Mixon. And on defense, Mike Marsh, they're missing DJ Reader in the middle. That's what I saw. And so far in Joe Burrow career with the Bengals are 0-5 in week 2. Don't bet on the Bengals to win, to cover, to do anything because they won't. They've never covered a week 2 game since Joe Burrow's been there, even in their Super Bowl run year. As a matter of fact, against the spread, I think the Bengals rank 27th in the league. Right now, I know the Lions rank first against the spread in the league over the last 3 years. It's Patrick time. Yeah. I'm still not sold on AG yet, but at least now I'm cautiously optimistic. Broski Bear says that. Trace, thanks, man. You're cool too. Yes, she is. Trace is awesome. I had one hell of a day going to camp with her that day. It was a good weekend. I lost one of my hats, but I'm not. Oh, Tim Patrick? I doubt it. Oh, Moonscar Blade, you're absolutely right. There's been 5 concussions into his career, not just in a limited amount of time. 6 if you count the one they didn't catch. Trace is a she? Yes, she is. One of the smartest football women I ever met. Can talk shit with the best of them, too. But Moonscar Blade, you're absolutely right. Stephen A. Smith was saying that after the 3rd one that year, and he was right then. Absolutely, Ambrosky. Yep. But it gets prorated with that medical thing. His guaranteed money and his signing bonus, he'll end up with about 95 million as a severance package. I don't think that's too fucking bad, do you? That's almost 2 years of salary for doing nothing. By the way, fuck the Lions. Fuck the Packers too. There. Love you like a brother. Yes, she is a vet. Man, I just love football though. Let's get back to football. Like Bob Nelson said, hello, I play football with the football on the football field. If it was not for football, I would not be playing football today. If you haven't seen that skit, you need to watch it. Just type in Bob Nelson football on YouTube. It's such a great skit. Yep. Because I think if Tua takes one more hit, he'll be sucking applesauce and stuttering the rest of his life. That's just me. Jeffy just. Hello, I'm Jeffy. Jeff. What? Yeah, that one was good too, Joseph Austin. Yes, we're showing our age. We're quoting 80s comedians. I had the spot with Marvelous Marvin Hagler, so I got in the ring, in the ring, in the ring. Would somebody answer the phone, God damn it? Oh man. I'm hoping the NFL and the Dolphins ownership and front office step in and stop that. Run, Forrest! If he takes 2 more concussions, I think he'll end up like Stephen Hawking. Jesus. I will say, I absolutely love it when the chat's this lit. We got 31 people watching, and it's amazing. It's glorious. We got 14 on X, and I'm sorry I can't see your chats if you're chatting there. If you switch over to the YouTube site, it's kneecap biting with the Motor City Lions is my channel, and I'll be able to see your chats. I try to address the chat always. Well, her name is Tracy. She goes by Trace, Broski. Didn't you hear Will say Tracy when he said it? Thanks, Tracy. Oh, I know. I'm just letting you know. There actually is, and I think there's something to it. I think he has to take a mandatory year off now because it was 3 within 3 seasons. 4 if you count the one they didn't count in that game. Remember the game they let him back in when he was wobbly out there and then he got hammered and had to be taken off by ambulance? Um, yeah, I think there's something to that. And if you remember when he came back for that next game, they said, "You're back from concussion protocol already?" He goes, "Yeah, they made me spell my name." He goes, "Your last name?" He goes, "Fuck no, my first name. I wouldn't remember the last name." Yep, no problem. Yeah, pound for pound, he was one of the best boxers to ever box. I love Roy Jones. But towards the end of his career, he should have quit getting in because after he started losing repeatedly, he just kept getting knocked out. And sometimes I think he fought while knocked out standing up. Moonscar got her. Ah! Moonscar got her. It is that time where we do our sponsors. Just for everybody in the chat, we're going to start with the team that's tied at the top of the division right now. They can all go get skull fucked. And fuck the Bears. Fuck the Packers. Next week we'll have fuck the Cowboys right here. Wait till we come up with that one. Yeah, you had to remember to put the ad after that. Lions would have to fall flat to lose this weekend. I'll watch the game since the Bears play Sunday. I agree. I watch a lot of football on Sundays. I normally do the red zone rant and everything. Brown Bay Fudge Packers, aka the Fudgies. And last but not least, to my real sponsor, the one that pays me. Tomorrow is the debut of my FTP bowling team. Good luck. Fuck them pins. The one that pays the bills is Brandon Service, right at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road. 602 West Atherton Road, where? Flint, Michigan, where the water's shit, but the tires are great. Stop in and check us out. Used tires starting at $40 and up, depending on size and condition of the tire. And new tires, call to get your quote, 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself. Hear me. Mention that ad, you get $10 off your set of tires. We will be doing the Lions Fan Cave chat. I am proud to say that Huddle Sports Network has joined my Restream and will be airing Restream for all their stuff next week. StreamYard was bought out, and their prices have gone up astronomically, and it's becoming harder. So I'm going to promote Restream to every network that I can because it's so much cheaper than StreamYard now. But this has been Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. I hear you, broski. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. Go Lions, FDB, FDV, and FTP. I love it, Joseph Austin. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment.